Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Fortnite Story. I'm joined alongside a professional Fortnite player, Vortexia. He's here to tell us his thoughts on this new season, the divisional cups, the invitational coming up, and we got some good conversations to learn about himself as a person and a player. How's it going, man?
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm thankful to be on the show. I'm Vortexia. My real name is Yusuf, and I'm living in London.
Nice, nice. All right. So, how'd you first get started playing Fortnite? I've heard a lot of stories. You're a controller player. I would assume you started on console. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started on console way back in 2017. I think it was around November times. My cousin introduced me to the game, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Were you any good when you first started
Um.
playing the game?
Well, he had the upper hand on me because he started playing a little bit before me, but soon I was like the best out of anyone I knew in real life, and then I started taking it more competitively as time went further.
Okay, okay. Yeah, there's been a number of people that kind of have that one moment or they've just been playing the game for a while and someone tells them like, "Yo, you're actually really good at this game, bro." Was there that person that kind of pushed you to take this a little more seriously, or was there a point where you finally said, "All right, I'm actually really good at this game. I should probably put in a little more effort."
I used to play the pop-up cups for fun and like the original comp days, like the first ever Winter Royale. And
Okay.
obviously the age for that you still had to be 16 plus. It wasn't lowered to 13 plus yet because that was that World Cup. And at that time I wasn't 16, so I wasn't able to properly compete. I was just doing it for fun at that point. And I got relatively close on console. So when World Cup came around, that's when I bought a PC and just tried to take it to the next level.
Okay, and how long? So you started playing on console. Did you compete on console in any tournaments, or was most of your career playing on a controller on PC?
The first prize tournaments I had started playing on PC was about at World Cup because
Okay,
before that I couldn't play due to the age and stuff. But there were two FNCSs that I went back to console for, which was the first ever duo FNCS, and then also for Stark Season Trios. But the rest of the FNCSs I've already played on PC.
okay. Which do you prefer from someone that's gone back and played? Like, why did you go back and play? Was it simply because you knew that you could grab the bag? I know there's been a lot of players.
Duos, it was unfortunate because it might have even been days before the event. My teammate who I'd been playing with for a long time, my duo, uh, he ended up having to forcefully quit due to hand injuries. So I was in a
Oof.
panic with a few days left to try to find a duo, and one of the best options I could find was console. So for that reason, I went onto console for duos, and then for trios, I got dropped on the day of FNCS. So that was not much going on for me there.
Jeez, you don't
Yeah.
have a lot of luck playing
No, I don't.
tournaments. Do you did has that continued to happen, or has it been a
Mm,
little bit better since then?
it still has been extremely bad, to be honest, but not to the extent of on the day of FNCS, as I know.
Okay.
The days leading up to it, though, yeah, still.
Yeah, that's not a fun way to find out you're not playing with someone. It's the day before. Um,
Yeah.
it's a wild thing that happens within Fortnite. I feel like no other game has these day of tournament. Okay, I'm playing with somebody else. No, I know we practiced for like 2 months, but nah, I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
play with this friend of mine because I don't really have a good reason. The vibes weren't good, right? You know, you get an answer
Yeah.
like that.
And then you're just
Um,
left in the slumps. Yeah.
why do you think that is? Like, why do you think within Fortnite there's so many last minute changes? Because we see it every single season. The week before is just a wild switch up before a major tournament.
I think it's just, I think some people do have guilt for it, so they just leave it till the last second and then they just go for it. But Calm will probably catch up to them, though. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, what do you mean by that guilt? Like they can't get
Like for me
themselves.
personally, I've done okay. To be honest, I have. There's one time that I've pulled off quite a dirty snake, which was like 2 or 3 days before, just because there was after all the times I've been snaked, I just wanted to focus on myself and my best. like wanted it to be the best for myself, you know. So I felt guilty. So I'm just going off of my own experience. I assume that a lot of other people feel guilty as well. So, yeah, because it is a game, but it's not just a game. Like, people have been preparing for it, and there's a lot of money online, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think once you get to the highest level and start earning money, it's a game that you're playing, but at the same time, it's a career for a lot of these people who started playing as kids and then now are young men like yourself that have started to realize more of what goes on, and
Yeah,
it's not just playing a game anymore. It's not just playing for fun because all these top players have put in endless amounts of effort, whether it be in game or out, to try and get better and better. And where do you think the game is going over the next few years? Like, we've seen such a big evolution if we just look at World Cup to now. I mean,
yeah,
what people were doing during World Cup, like that's a bot level play now.
yeah.
And then where do you see the evolution of the game continuing on?
Well, the way that they're going this year, it was going kind of hard to increase the skill gap, but the way that they're doing it, to be honest, I will say that it's quite good because they've introduced stuff like mantling, sliding, and all of these different new mechanics. It's making it harder because there were places last year, like maybe 6 months straight, where we were just in the same pump metal with not too much being introduced, and the skill level was kind of just staying at the same pace. But now, if when they're adding these new things, I think it gives a lot of leeway into players being able to come better and be better than everyone else around them, as long as they put in the grind.
Okay. And for you, where do you stand? Like, are you someone that plays a ton and prefer all these new things, or would you like that kind of stagnated level of play where you know you can stay at a reasonable level if you just continue doing what you're doing?
Um, I play quite a lot, but I don't. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that my grinding is efficient because I've not got a set teammate most of the time. So then there's no one to constantly play scrims with. To be honest, so I'm just doing stuff that's not going to be very good for me, like creative or something like that. But when I do have a teammate that's going to push me to my fullest, then yeah, 100%. I think I'm grinding as much as like a lot of tier ones and stuff like that.
Okay. Where do you see yourself then?
What on a scale of how good I am?
Yeah, like tier one. I don't know how you want to
I
tier
don't know how the
yourself.
tiers really
Like
work
one
in
out of
Fortnite.
10, right? We'll go like Tayson's a 10, and I am a three. I've never made money. I'm decent, and then there's all that in between. Where do you see yourself?
If he's a 10 and there's 10 tiers, I'd probably say 7 maybe. Yeah.
Okay, it's not bad. I'd take a
Yeah, but I
7.
think I have the potential to push all the way just with due time, to be honest.
Gotcha, gotcha. Do you plan to continue to play the game and put in that effort to try and get there? Because right now, well, one, do you have a teammate? We got a placement
No,
cup coming up.
um, for the placement cup, I was supposed to have a teammate and he was going to tell me tonight if we were playing. And he's already told me that apparently he's going to quit now. So
Uh
my luck's just getting 10 times better. So
oh.
yeah, don't know. I don't know who my teammate's going to be.
Uh-oh. I don't know. This might go out tomorrow. So yeah, if you're watching this and you're at a 7 level, hit up
Yeah.
Vortexia. It needs a teammate. Um. Okay. And what do you even do? Like, I have no idea how to try and find a teammate if I was good at the game. Like right now, I just play with my friends that are also old and play the video game, and we just have
Yeah.
fun. But for you, like, what makes a good teammate, and like, what are you trying to find?
For the most part, you just tweet out like your role. For me, I don't mind playing any role, so I'd say Fraggle, IGL, and then people start DMing you. And then if you're a lower tier player trying to get up top, then it's probably not best to tweet because obviously you don't have as much reach. So you can go into Discords and look that way. Most of the people in those obviously won't be of your level, but you're not going to find higher because you're not up there yet, anyways. So you need to just find someone that's at a low level like you, and then you need to grind your way up together.
Okay. Now, specifically for you, like, what? Say you could build the perfect teammate. Let's try and like craft the
Yeah.
guy that you would like to play with, and we're trying to make the perfect duo for this season. Where do you see your strengths fit, and where do you think someone else could come in to help complement how you play?
I would say I prefer playing to IGL, which is a bit out of the ordinary, most people would say, because I'm controller. So they would expect me to sit backed up, just fragging with my aim. But I prefer IGLing, so I would want a fragger by my side, preferably KBM, especially in this meta. Without any scoped guns being in the game, control is a bit harder to get surged. There's only hammer. So having a KBM player is a lot better than having controller at the moment. Um, Someone that can listen to me, and then my number one most valuable thing is probably someone that can just not argue when mistakes are made. I normally don't make big mistakes, but for the odd time that I might make one, then my mental, it needs to be good for me to play good. So if people are screaming at me, then it's just the worst thing. And if I get milked, then I don't scream at anyone either. I just go next. Like there's no need to complain about it, especially during the tournament. That's the worst thing. We can talk about it after, but during it, it's just a no-no.
Yeah, that's an important point, and I think a lot of people fail to realize that is they're destroying their own tournament by lingering on what just happened. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes it's important to mention, all right, well, I did this or you did that. Let's not do that next game. Here's why, quickly talking about it. But I've seen so many people, especially in solos, where they have one thing that goes wrong in the previous game, and then it just ruins an entire tournament, an entire game, um, which is wild. And I think the mental aspect of playing Fortnite is one that is overlooked a lot of times because we see all these crazy mechanical players, but even just being able to keep a calm, level head is super important. So it's interesting that you mentioned that as something you're looking for. I'm always wondering what players want. You know, I've had some players that are super emotional and bring that into the game. When things go well, it goes well. When things don't go well, obviously it's like, you know, you're yelling at one another and
yeah.
you're leaving a Discord call mid tournament. But
I'm all for yelling when it's in the right way. When it's in endgame and you've got all these bullets in your ear, it's super loud. So then we need to shout to hear each other, and that's fine. When you're shouting at the person, you can tell the difference between the two, the aggressive ones and then the ones that are doing it to hear you. You know,
yeah,
easy to
well,
tell.
and there's like a yelling to be angry and there's a yelling to give information.
Yeah, to be loud. Yeah,
Yeah, and I have also like one thing I've thought about is like different levels of communication. I don't know that anyone's really put in the time to talk about like Fortnite comms because there's so
yeah,
much that goes on, but there's definitely levels where
for
you know
sure.
you need help,
Yeah,
you need it now, and there's an inflection in your voice that should demand that kind of help, like you just said.
yeah, definitely.
All right. Let's dive into the new season a little bit. So that was a little bit about you and kind of yourself as a player, but what are your thoughts on the new season? We've seen a few changes in POIs, a pretty big change in the AR and shotgun meta, as well as the addition of snipers. Give me your like first thoughts now that we're a couple days into the season.
So obviously, straight off the bat, the first two things in a competitive player's eyes, whether you're top player or not, is going to be boogie bombs and snipers. They're like probably two of the most unrewarding things that we could have in any meta. Luckily, the boogie bombs are leaving in the next update. That Fortnite have tweeted, and then the snipers, as far as I know, they're still in, and they're more OP than ever because they've got three in the mag, and they can still one shot headshot, which is three times more than before. Um, if those two things get removed, then I'd say the season would be decent. Uh, but with them in the game, it's not something that I can get my head around, to be honest. But
So
it's good without that, though.
what would you
I'd
say to
say.
people? I understand the boogie bombs, but as far as the snipers go, what would you
Yeah.
say to the people that are like, we've been playing the same thing every single season for the past however many seasons now if we remove snipers? Because it's going to be AR, shotgun,
Yeah.
SMG.
I would say if you looked at the rest of the loop pool, then you'd understand why this season's a lot worse than the others. With, for example, what I mean by that is, so right now, for example, we've got the Hammer AR, and then we've got the new Evo Chrome one, and we've got the AK. So those three, none of them are like scoped weapons, right? you can't really move around while shooting. You need to be getting that first shot accuracy far range. So you're gonna need to be standing still a lot. The amount of headshot snipes I've been seeing yesterday when I was playing Noble X, which is like the top customs in EU, we're surrounded by the best players in Europe, and they're still getting headshot sniped like nothing because you can't be moving around with the hammer when you're going for surge tags. When it's over like 200 meters, it's almost impossible. But before, when they had just the normal bolt action snipers like Trios and last year, you could move around with the AR or with the Scar, and you could get surge pretty easily still.
That's a good point. And especially with three in the mag, normally you could bait that shot and then you have some time to
Sure,
where
yeah.
it's like, okay, I can shoot back at this person until they reload their sniper. But now
Mhm.
it's, I can
There's no
fire three
time.
shots and
Yeah,
yeah, you got no hope. I'm quite happy that we've gotten the Red Dot site weapons out. I think that Bloom
I'm
has
not.
no. Oh, I guess you're a controller player that
I'm
plays it.
controller, so for Surge that was really good for Surge compared to any other guns. But now it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be very hard. But to be honest, before if they like right now, you know about the aim assist bugs, right? So if you go on, do you know about it?
Which one?
There's a lot, yeah, okay. But they fixed some of them last season, but there's still one like before you could tab out, you could do whatever you want on your PC, and you would lose aim assist for only like 10 seconds. You can just wait, and then you have it back right away, so that's fine. But now, if you go on your keyboard and then you go back to your controller, you can sometimes actually not have aim assist for the whole game. So it's not worth the risk switching to keyboard for Surge. Because last year during trios, if I was in a stacked lobby, I would 100% just go on KBM and then go for Surge on KBM and then switch back to controller for when I need to fight. Because it's totally worth it. Because at far range, I've got way more control on my keyboard. I literally aim train on keyboard sometimes in my spare time. Back in those times, not anymore because I can't go on keyboard for Surge. But if they brought that feature back, then 100% it would make stuff a lot easier.
Yeah, I remember that. There was a lot of big controller players that would figure out, oh, okay, during this mid game phase, put my
Yeah,
controller down, hop on keyboard mouse, get some surge tags, and
yeah. And
then,
by end game, they're back
yeah.
on it. Yeah,
It was interesting because I don't know that we've ever seen anything like that, but Surge continues to be a massive piece of the game. So I
of
understand
course.
from that perspective, like obviously it's not good for you as a controller player for that mid game phase, but I don't know that, in my opinion, red dot weapons ever fit the game. It always seems whenever they were in the game, it was the most powerful AR, and then everything else was just there to be there. You think about the AUG. Why would anyone really pick up anything besides that? When we had the MK, it was by far the like best weapon in the
Yeah.
game.
I
Uh,
guess it was a standard of level in the lobby because, to be honest, if I was in solo cash cup last season, even if it was finals, because Surge is quite easy in solos, then you can just take. I would personally take hammer, but then if you were in duos or trios and you needed Surge, then yeah, Org is definitely the pick all the time. And then for the season before, MK, just yeah, I get what you mean with the scope layouts. Yeah,
Yeah, well, and the hammer started to be more relevant as people realized the damage output it could get at like
yeah,
a medium and then as a swap weapon to your shotgun as opposed to
yeah.
holding an SMG. So it did have its use, but I always felt like the use wasn't as good as what we saw most of the time from the red dot weapons.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, though. So
No, I agree with you. And if I wasn't controlled, I'd probably agree with the change as well. But yeah,
yeah,
I'm controller.
I'm a controller player too, but I watch. I play the game
Yeah.
for fun, but my
So you
role,
know how hard it is far range to like would get surge with the hammer and stuff.
bro,
It's
I'm not good
awful.
at mid range. So like, let's not even
Yeah.
talk about going too far. Yeah, no, I do understand that. Um, then as far as like the Chrome, because that's a massive addition to the game, and
Mhm.
it's kind of like the sandballs we saw. What was that? Probably about a year ago,
Yeah.
except more advanced. Have you
Yeah.
played around with the Chrome? What are your initial thoughts on it?
I mean, I played like pro customs for the first time yesterday in Noble X, with one of my friends. And he had been playing a bit more customs than me this season. So, and he's an IGL, so he knew how to use them and all of that. And he showed me this trick where if you throw it at something, I think it needs to be it's some specific structures, and then you start shooting it, then you can farm it for chrome, and then you can get the max stack size of 8, and then you're set for the rest of the game. I think that's a good feature because it eliminates a lot of the RNG that you need to, oh, like we're going to find a lot in chests, whereas all you need to do is find one and then the rest will just come to you. So I think it's a good feature, but in laggy lobbies it needs sorting though because people are fully lagging about.
So what about using it for rotates, using it to make plays in box fights? Um, have
Yeah,
you played
there's a
enough?
lot of good ways to use it. Yeah, I've played enough, and I've also seen Cami and City they utilize it very well. I saw one of them get knocked in moving zones yesterday in the pro customs, and he just chucked it on himself to res the other person. Because if anyone tries to jump in, then they've got that cooldown time where they'll get the first shot off. You know, when they have to phase through the wall and they can't shoot for about 1.5 seconds. There's a lot of good ways to use it, and another way that I saw, there's that NA coach Zycoma, if you know him.
Yep.
I saw him. He made a video on I saw it on my TikTok page. I never thought I'd learn anything like that off TikTok and actually put it into my gameplay. But if people are server focusing you from straight ahead, then you can throw a chrome on them, and then all their builds are chromed, and they can't edit it, and you just got free rotate straight ahead.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so Kiruma's very smart. He's been pumping out content
Yeah,
now.
that was good. That's actually the first thing I've learned from TikTok. Yeah,
Okay, nice. So definitely uses of it. Seems like we may or may not continue to see it, depending on
yeah.
server performance.
Hmm.
Um, I would like to see something like that because it
No
would.
movement matters fun, so I wouldn't mind if they removed it. It is pretty fun. It's grief because there's if you get a far zone and there's some scuffed kid on the edge just shooting you, but it's still fun.
So you wouldn't mind fully removing it and then like zero movement.
Wouldn't mind. Back to the squads days. I
Wow.
mean, in squads, I suppose that it was easier because you had the materials of 4 people, so it was a more fitting meta in squads. But now it'd be a lot harder. It would show who's really smartest.
Yeah, you're one of the few people I've talked to. I'm a big fan of the no movement meta as well. So you're one of
Yeah,
the few I've talked to that actually enjoys playing a game without movement, and I think, oh, my dog's going crazy. Um, that enjoys playing the game without any movement in it, whether it be vehicles or now we have the Chrome, which even has so many more uses than simply movement. But
yeah.
I would like to see it in the game
Hmm.
if it works and the game works with it in it.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's going to be in for the placement cup unless we get something wild. So
yeah,
everyone needs to be practicing with it and
for
figuring
sure. Yeah,
out how to use it. Just like you mentioned, those few uses, I'm sure there's a ton more that people
yeah.
are figuring out.
Undiscovered right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Now, talking about the placement cup, what are your thoughts on the whole divisional system? Because this is the first time we're seeing any sort of system like this.
I think the system's good, but think it might be a tad too reliant on the first week because if you don't get the top 200 first week, obviously you still have more chances within your season to get top 30. But for EU especially, that threshold is even after the top 200 teams have gone, that's still not an easy threshold to go and get, you know? So if the first week is the most important, I think that they should increase it to top 50 on the other weeks for EU at least, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and especially with the massive heavy placement that the structure has. I think it's like 65 points for a
Yeah,
win
65, yeah. It
and
is.
1 point per elimination, so it's almost useless to get
Yeah.
elims if you're trying
Surge
to.
is gonna go crazy in that.
Yeah.
Fully crazy.
So my fear was that, even at the lower levels, we weren't going to see stacked games because everyone's just going to key, and that's typically
Yeah.
how cash cups were played, right? You fall behind a game, then everyone's just trying to key through the next game to get up back in that high elo, and then you get to play stacked games again. I'll be interested to see if this placement heavy structure fixes that at the lower levels because, like you said, it's going to be hard to get out of
Yeah.
that mess when you can't
Have you
just
ever played
W key.
an FNCS or anything like that?
Yeah, I played the last one and others.
Yeah, because what I was saying was like this doesn't apply for cash cuts, but FNCS specifically, the low level lobbies, even the first lobby, is stacked if you don't have any pros in it. Because I've seen it like from my friends' gameplay who aren't as good, like if they'll still get very high moving zones, like 40 movings, as long as there's no pros in lobbies. Otherwise, they wipe it, and then it's just like a 10 moving, you know.
Yeah, as long as you guys aren't ruining one of those games, then you
Yeah,
get to enjoy it.
yeah.
Nah, I'm just kidding. It'll be interesting though because there's a massive risk now to W keying in those games, and I'm sure people will do it. I mean, you're not going to be able to play
It
every
will
game.
because it's top 1400 at first and then into the 200, right? I think if it was straight into the 200, then the first round would be taken a lot more seriously. But everyone knows that top like 1400 is very doable, you know? You can be probably like 5000th and you drop like a 20 bomb and then you're in.
Now, what do you think about this first week? Is stacked with tournaments. I don't know if you played the Cypher
It
PK
is.
Cup that just happened, or we have the PlayStation Cup, which you mentioned you're playing, and
Yeah,
then
I'm
we
playing
have
it.
the Placement Cup as well as the Queasy Cup. Normally, we have a 2 week preseason where it's just like chilling for the first 2 weeks. Now we're diving straight in. The season started like 3 days ago, and we already have 5 tournaments this week. Do you prefer that, or do you think it's too
Um,
soon? What are you thinking?
Normally I would prefer that, but obviously going to Fortnite's schedule, this has never happened, you know? Every single time we're getting some sort of preseason or at least waiting for events, you know? So, but in this particular time, I don't like it because this was when I told my mom that I'd have time to like move house because in the
Oh,
moment that we're trying to move, and that's why I got loads of boxes in the hallway, and then we're supposed to be moving like it was supposed to be tomorrow that we were going to move, but we're going to stay here a few more days, and then it should be next week sometime. Hopefully that I don't miss the divisional cup on Wednesday. It should be fine there because my mum's nice. She prioritizes me and my gaming, so I should be able to.
that's awesome. That's great. You have some support from your mom to help you out.
Yeah,
Um, Talk to me about how difficult that is because we've never gotten any kind of schedule where we actually know what is going on. And it seems like every season there's at least someone tweeting out, like, I planned a vacation, I planned this, and
yeah,
then all of a sudden, boom, 2 days from now, biggest tournament of the season. It's been slightly better, right? The past couple of FNCSs, you've had some time, but I think one thing that bothers me the most is there's no communication to when there's free time. And I think that is also important, especially when a lot of pro players, people that play this game for a career, are young people. And I think they need to take breaks. But, like, what's it like for you not necessarily knowing when the next tournament is that you're going to play until a week before?
um, a roadmap of what is going to happen. It means a lot if that could happen because obviously we want to plan ahead, maybe the occasional holiday or just break from the game, or maybe we've got like exams or during that time because we've got a lot of stuff to do outside of Fortnite, you know. So having this time, especially just a week before announced, bam, 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 Queasy Cup, PS Cup, Divisional Cup, all of this stuff, um, it's a bit out of nowhere, and I think a lot of the community would appreciate if it was just just announced ahead of time, you know.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And it would be helpful to help people build a schedule, plan around it. Um, Especially when we have like orgs and coaches now. It's not even simply just players trying
Yeah,
to get involved in the game. There's a lot of money being invested into this. Uh, so maybe in the future, I don't know that
yeah.
it'll ever happen, considering we may know for FNCS and major tournaments, but it seems Fortnite is putting on a tournament almost every single day for the past 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And we get to know about a week or so in advance. So we'll see. I'm optimistic next year will look a little different as far as Fortnite goes for the competitive schedule.
Yeah, PS Cups tend to overlap things. Like this week, PS Cup's going to be overlapping Queasy Cup. So if I manage to hit the qual on PS Cup, then I'm not going to be able to play Queasy Cup. But yeah, it is what it is.
How you feeling about the PlayStation Cup?
Um, I well normally I play on the Astro C40, right? This controller here. But
Okay.
for the PlayStation Cups, I have to play on this controller because the Astro C40 doesn't connect. But it's not a standard controller though. I bought it like two PS Cups ago, and so now I can take PS Cups seriously because before I just used to play them on KBM. But so this one's got paddles as well. So
Oh,
I
nice.
should be able to place decent because it's different from my Astro C40, but at least it's got paddles. So all my binds and stuff is the same. The only difference is my thumbstick placement. It's literally it.
It's just a little different size in your hands and stuff. Is the Astro
Yeah,
C40 like the golden standard for you? I've been trying to find a controller because I just got the Power A like probably about a
yeah,
year ago and it's already broken on me. I've got like one fully working paddle out of the four and
yeah.
I've been trying to find something. I just bought the Turtle Beach ones to try them out, but they're cheap and I'm expecting them to break. So Astro
The
C40?
Astro is expensive, but in terms of performance and everything like that, it's pretty good in terms of how good it is like that. But in terms of the durability, it's just like all these other expensive controllers. They all just break down pretty quickly. Surprisingly, this one's done me quite well. To be honest, that just shows that my standards have gone down for it so much because it's literally been about 5 months. But yeah, that's probably considered well for an Astro at the moment.
Yeah, well, the only controller I've found that has lasted more than a year, and I don't even play as like that much. I may play 15 hours a week, 20 hours or
Yeah,
more when a new season comes out, but the PlayStation controllers are built to last. So that might be, I've heard the
yeah,
PS5 Scuff is one of the better ones, although it's like
yeah,
$250. So,
yeah. I
damn.
mean, I don't mind spending money on it as long as I know that I'm getting good quality. Like one of the top control players is using what you just mentioned right now, Cam from NA. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure he's using one of the Scuff PS5 ones. Yeah,
Yeah, it was Coop was the one that recommended it to me. He
yeah,
said that's what he uses as well. So it makes sense. PlayStation seems to be more durable, and then also the Scuff controllers give you all those little competitive advantages like the trigger stops, the paddles, and the
yeah, for
upgrades,
sure.
which is nice. Um, yeah, we got sidetracked though. All right, back to PlayStation Cup.
Yeah,
So you're feeling good? It's 2 rounds, 3 rounds. I don't even know.
2 rounds. It's going to be today's Wednesday, so tomorrow and Friday. Over the next 2 days, there's going to be qualifiers in each region, top 50, and both times. Leveling up to 100, which is going to take place on the Sunday finals, which will overlap the Queasy Cup. But it's
Or
worth it. It's a lot better prize pool than the Queasy Cup, and it's solo, so I don't need to rely on anybody. If I milk, then just blame it on myself. So,
do you prefer solos? Say you had a teammate, right? Like, let's throw that one out the window.
yeah,
If you had a teammate, you prefer solos?
it's very hard for me to find a teammate that I do like, and one that likes me probably. But at the moment, I'd say I like solos. If I had that teammate though, I duos probably would be around the same level, but still just not as good as solos. I don't know. There's something about it. I just like I like having to rely on myself and nobody else because if I do something stupid, there's no one to blame. I just blame myself, and then if I do something good, then obviously pat on the back.
Okay, I can understand that, and I think that's a smart mentality to have when looking at the game. As someone that watches it and analyzes it, I hate solos. It's
Yeah, I can understand why. I mean, I'm by no means is it not the most RNG because it definitely is. Like in terms of most things, for example, if you're in duos, right, then one of you gets beamed, one can hold the wall whilst you heal, and then in solos, if you get beamed and crack your shield and you don't have chugs to get back up instantly, then you just got someone pressing your walls constantly and you have no time to get it off, and you need to get some damage back before they back off. And if it's a good player, then they're not gonna let you get that damage off easily, It's just gonna be a constant struggle. That's one of the biggest things that people would consider RNG in solos.
Yeah, I think it's also a lot of fuckery, if I'm gonna
Yeah.
be straightforward.
Hmm.
Is you have all these friends and friend groups that decide here's where we're gonna land, and obviously
Yeah.
they're never going to be straight out and say that this is what happens. And even if
Yeah.
it's not like I talk to you, we're gonna land at this spot. There's that unspoken communication where things happen, or even just sitting in a Discord call like we just saw with Volks and him
Hmm.
getting banned, which is now going to lead to him missing the invitational. Don't
Yeah.
necessarily think the punishment is
Is that confirmed that he's missing invitational?
that's he posted today, so he said he's
Oh,
been banned
yeah.
for 2 weeks, which means a 2 FNCS ban, which includes the invitational. I'm
That is unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, not a fan of that. I think that is way too harsh. Uh,
Yeah.
I can see a ban happening because like what he did was teaming, which is cheating and against the rules. But at the
Yeah.
same time, come on, man, like
Yeah.
let the dude play. We'll
Yeah,
see
for sure.
if anything changes. But my whole point is there's a lot of fuckery that goes around in solos, and we've seen it. I mean, Giannis and I believe it was Tayson when they were
Yeah,
playing
steamy
at a
stacks. Yeah.
yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And there's been Booga and Avery clips where they were splitting Misty Meadows, and
Hmm.
there's just so many things that happen where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this isn't blatantly cheating, but
Yeah.
it's also a little shady. So I
It
just
is. Yeah.
I think avoiding solos kind of takes that away, or at
Yeah.
least makes it harder because in team modes it's harder to fully
Yeah.
collude with people.
Yeah. We've still seen it though, but it's not as easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
With
because
the
you have
bigger POIs, it's easy to do.
yeah, fair enough, fair enough, and I think if there's a reward, people will be tempted to do things to help themselves, which only makes sense. Um, Up until recently, being unconned off spawn was a huge key to success. Now with the surge changes, it almost seems that being conned is somewhat helpful if it's not
Yeah.
a full grief off spawn. But long term, I think we'll start to see more contested teams do well with the new surge changes because it's that much more important. And now we don't have red dot sites, so we'll see how
Yeah.
this plays out. Uh,
Hmm.
a little tangent there. Sorry about that. Going back to the divisional cups and your thoughts on them. If this was, say, the FNCS format, because we're not getting one, they said in that blog post there's no FNCS. Say this is the new standard for the FNCS format. How would you feel about that if we got, I don't know, 3, 4 of these next year?
Um, I think with a few tweaks, it could definitely be better than anything we've ever had before. But I think with the um I think at the moment how it is, it's giving me kind of Chapter 3 Season 1 vibes where there was just 2 weeks, only 72 teams made heat. So there was a lot of tier 1 teams and like really good expected teams just left out because it was all on 2 weeks, you know? So right now it's giving me those vibes because there's only the top 200 from the first week. And then if you try pick it up from there, it's a lot harder than if it was, like I said, like top 50 or something like that. I think if they upgraded it to top 50, top 60 or something like that, then it would definitely be viable.
Yeah, I like the format too, and just like you mentioned, I
Uh,
think there could be some tweaks.
Yeah, and also with like demotions, I think that'd be worth it as well. So you bring up the top 60 and then maybe kick out the top or the bottom 60, something like that.
Yeah, well, the one thing that I do like about teams not getting demoted, or I think there should be more teams promoted than demoted,
Then demoted, yeah,
because then it expands the pool of players and it makes it not more competitive, but less of the same thing over and over again.
yeah,
Because at some point, those 200 duo lobbies will start to feel repetitive if we're doing this over 7 weeks. So adding
yeah,
more players to the mix, more different engagements, I think will keep it a little fresher for people. They may not like that because they may not
yeah.
get their drop unconned every time, but I feel like that would be helpful.
From the get-go, 200 is definitely not a good number in my opinion because the queue time is going to be unbelievable. But assuming that I'm right in saying that it's over a 3 hour period, right? It's just like the normal tournaments. And there's 200
Um,
people,
I don't
200
know
teams.
that they've said exactly what it is, but I would assume we're gonna
I would
see
assume, yeah,
either 3 hours 6 games or 3 hours 10 games, which is typically
yeah.
what we see.
And if they just had it on like randomized set lobbies, I think that would be really cool. Like those 200 teams are jumbled up every single lobby. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So then no one knows what to expect. Like you can't just go there thinking that you're going to be uncon every time. You also always got to have your guard up. Because if it was the 10 games, then we're going to be seeing 10-minute queues and stuff.
That would be interesting. Like right when you queue up, 3 o'clock comes around, you queue up,
Yeah,
then you're put into a random set lobby. There's 4 of them that run at a time,
yeah,
and they play against each other for their 6 or 10 games, probably 6 if we're doing set lobbies. That would be really interesting.
yeah,
I kind of like that.
yeah.
Well,
I think that the skill level of that would still be decent as well because top 200 within EU specifically, I know that it's that used to be the old amount of people who made heats, so the skill level would definitely still be good.
Yeah, I think the one tough thing is how big of a piece that this placement cup is,
Yeah,
because if you can't place in that top 200 right away, it
yeah,
just gets very difficult to reach one of those. I think it's top 30 or so advance, or 40. I need to look exactly what it is. It's changed by region too. It might be top 10 in some regions, and that's going to be difficult to do. Although, if you're a top tier team, you should be able to separate yourself from the pack in not the bottom 1,000 players, but like the mid 1,000 players. Um, and then we'll see how it translates. So I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway,
yeah,
the queue times will get better as more and more teams join that
for
top
sure.
200, and then week 7 will be interesting because now I want to look how many teams actually are. Um,
By week 7, it will be 480, I think. Yeah,
okay, so yeah, it more than doubles by the
yeah.
time we finish this. Which I don't know. Do you think that's a good or a bad thing?
What the amount that it increases?
Not the amount, but that the last round, quote unquote, is doubled to determine who gets to enter the set lobbies in order to make money.
I think still good because anything that alleviates the queue times I think is definitely good. Within EU top 500 is still like you'll find obviously the skill gap between like 480th and first place. There's still obviously a lot there, but you're not gonna be able to run through anyone. There's not gonna be any total bad players there. They're gonna have a certain type of skill level that you'll still have to take your time in fights, still have to use your brain and all of that stuff.
Yeah, especially in EU, it seems that
Yeah.
one, you guys have like double the players of any other region, and two,
Mhm.
that just makes everyone be a little bit better than your average player in other regions.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
I get keyed all the time by some
Mm.
random no name kid on EU and just absolutely shits on me. And I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, well, that might not happen. I at least had a fighting chance in NA East, unless it's like a pro player. But
yeah,
in EU, you get some random crackhead, and they're just the best
yeah.
player
They're all
they've ever
just
seen.
zero ping and they're just keyboard and they're just building everywhere, mate.
Oh man. All right. Now the other thing that's happening this season is the FNCS Invitational. That is the largest tournament that we've had since the World Cup, at
Yeah.
least Fortnite sanctioned one.
Mhm.
We pretty much know everyone that's going to be there, although one of the Middle East players looks like he's not going to be able to make it. And now recently, Volks is also not going to be there. So most of the players are set in stone. Now, looking at that, you as someone that plays the game, when you see these big tournaments come out, like, what are your initial thoughts? How do you feel about the Invitational? Are you going? Um, Let me hear
No,
what's going on.
I'm not going to the Invitational, which obviously, I mean, it probably overlaps with my school, but that's not the only reason. Even if it was in a holiday, I just wouldn't go if I wasn't playing. Because I guess the atmosphere is cool and all, but I don't think it's worth the price when I could just watch it online, to be honest.
Okay.
But it's still really interesting to me. I'll definitely watch the whole thing.
Now, for
Because
you,
I do watch all set lobbies that I don't make on EU. You can learn a lot, you know, or even when you're not playing. I try and make the most of it. Like I'm not sitting there playing arena once there's a set lobby going on that I'm not in.
do you have a favorite player you like to watch to learn stuff from?
Um, to learn stuff from, I like watching within the EU, Mustache and Malibuka, and just all the top players I see, like how I place videos. I like to see their different play styles, so like Queasy, Malibuka, Mustache, Tayson. And then to be honest, I don't watch too much NA because I feel like the play style is so different from EU. I think I could learn a lot more from watching a top EU player. But one person I do like to watch just for the entertainment purposes is Canada. He's good and he's just funny to watch. He just goes around WKing everyone. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, also, you're not going to be playing in the NA lobbies, so unless you
yeah,
pick up something that is wildly different that nobody else is doing, which is probably not the case. If someone's
Yeah,
doing it on NA, they're probably doing it on an EU too.
for sure.
It
Yeah.
only makes sense for you to watch the players you're going to be potentially going up against
Yeah.
and learn from them, try and find weaknesses and help yourself get better.
hmm Sometimes I will watch the NA players if they've qualified to an EU cash cup because I think that's pretty skillful to do. Obviously vice versa as well, but especially for them because they're on I mean the same ping as us, but obviously on a harder region. So they're like 90 ping going up against EU, and I've seen a few of them have been qualifying and doing pretty well on them recently. Iomza's qualified to a few EU cash cups this season, so I've watched his videos on that. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I feel like during the summer we got a few more. It was also on a Saturday, so EU to NA, or NA to
yeah,
EU players, where normally you get a bunch of EU players on NA set
yeah,
lobbies, but during the summer, I guess everyone doesn't need to worry about school and things like that, so they have more time to
yeah.
play, wake up, and actually do stuff. Now back to the Invitational though. You obviously from EU, so there's going to be biases there. Have you thought about who is like a favorite in your mind? Have you thought about something that's going to be the difference or like a winning moment, anything like that?
I don't think that the maps are set in stone, and I don't think. And then the second reason is I haven't had enough time to explore the new map to know who's got the best POIs, Omicron, and all of that. I'm pretty sure Reason and Aqua are going to Condo, which is considered to be the best or one of the best POIs at the moment. And if they're uncontested or contested by, no offense, like a weaker region team, like maybe a Middle East team or something like that, then I think that out of the 12 games, it's going to be close to a clean wipe, like 10-2 at least. So I think that they'll have a good chance as long as they're not contested by anyone good. And then probably second favourites, probably an EU team again, maybe Vino and Queasy. They're really good.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a big I like how Queasy plays the game. I think he's
Yeah,
innovative as an IGL and from all my EU buddies, especially Levin, who I just had on, big
yeah.
fan of Vino. Calls him the best fragger in the game, maybe the best player.
He is. I think he's. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I say. I think. Well, it is between him and Tayson, but I think at the moment Vino is the best player in the world because have you seen Kinch Analytics video of the recent EU clans thing?
I've seen pieces of it. I haven't watched it all.
Veno got his damage output ratio to to putting out damage to taking it back was like
Right.
2.08.
Hmm.
So that's unbelievable. And then the second most best in the lobby was like 1.3. He's just miles ahead
Jeez.
of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like unknown back in unknown
Yeah.
squad days, back when he was
hmm
keying everybody level of damage. Interesting, interesting. I might have to go back and watch that. Kinch
Yeah.
puts
It
out
was
some good
unbelievable.
content.
Yeah.
Um, okay, and if there's not, I'm with you. I think the EU teams will perform the best out of anyone. I mean, also statistically, there's more of them, so therefore
Yeah.
they should be performing better than anyone. Out of the
I-
other regions, is there anyone that stands out to you that you think has a shot to win it all?
I've always been a big fan of Epic World, but like I haven't been. I was a bit skeptical if he still had it though, but he's proved it really well with Malibuka at the Saudi Arabia land. I think we got to keep an eye on him. But if he's contested, then it's just unfortunate. Go next if he's contested by any good players. But he's definitely one that I'd see doing well. And then anyone else, I'd probably say Scented and Cold. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Okay. Scented and Cold have been one of my favorites. I've always enjoyed watching Scented over the past probably year and a half,
Yeah,
um, because their play style seems to be, especially in trios. I mean, in duos, he's kind of developed it now to fit the duo meta, but they were innovative and explored things that a lot of players didn't simply play, which is fun to watch, and I enjoy it because everyone at a certain point seems to just play the game and play based on whatever is in front of them. Whereas there's certain players, like a Queasy is another good example, or like a Malibuka and Mustache, like they are trying to set things up and develop the lobby to be what they want it to be, as opposed to just like being in the lobby, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Um, but that's okay. So Scented Cold, Epic Whale. And then you said Rezon, and then who's the
Reason and Aqua, yeah.
Rezon
They're going
Aqua?
Kondo. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Well, sensitive and cold. I mean, and that this goes for every single person that I've named. It depends on the Osborne situation, of course. That's a
Yeah.
big part of the game. Could be wiped out early. So
Well, there's also going to be some massive egos because we're talking about the
for
best
sure.
players from like every region. So everyone's probably like, nah, this is my spot. I'm the best. And then
Hmm.
the person contesting them is literally thinking the same thing. And most of these people that have qualified have been able to get their own drop spot for
Yeah.
the past however many seasons. I mean, there's very few that have kind of had to figure things out. Although in
Yeah.
EU, you guys seem to go a little wild with the off spawn stuff, which is a little
Yeah, a
more
lot of
fun to
people just go
watch.
to grief. Yeah. It's fun to watch, but if you're in the situation, it's definitely not fun to play in. To just be contested, having far zones because you're storm fighting and stuff. It's just awkward.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, and nor do I. In a perfect world, everyone could be uncontested and just kind of play out the
Yeah.
mid to end game. Although you do want some of that action, something interesting, right when the
For
game
sure, it
starts.
wouldn't work with viewer base, and also the servers would not be able to handle it. All 100 people going to survive their off spawn, and then we're just waiting for the lag fest to happen. Then someone's going to get beamed, and that's going to teleport in your box. That's how it's going to go. So might as
Yeah.
well have the off spawn fights instead.
All right. Cool. Cool. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun event, and I'm sure everyone has been waiting for something like this, just like I have. Now, back to you. What outside of the game? I've seen you've been putting out some content, streaming a little bit, some YouTube videos. Like, what is your goal with the content and other pieces of the game? Is there, do you want
Um,
to become a content creator, or is it just something you feel like you have to do?
um, okay, before because you know that people have got banned for like wages and stuff like that, right? And
Yes.
before in the past, Epic was a lot more like they were less tolerant of it. Like anyone could play them without getting banned, and now they've started hammer down on it, and you see a lot more pros deciding not to do it. So before in very early 2020, I used to do them, and that's where I built most of my brand off of having my face cam and people like my personality whilst I was playing wagers, and I was like one of the wager kings of EU, if you want to call it, and my record was like 400 to 30 or something like that. So I was
Okay.
winning a lot of them, and then my viewers started spiking up, and during wager times, I was averaging like 150 viewers, which is pretty good in my opinion. So and then I won a cash cup, so then it just zoomed up even more. And then they banned wages, so then my Twitch got a bit to a downfall. And I still stream some tournaments in the higher rounds because that's where you get most of your viewers. In opens, still get like 30 or something like that. I streamed when I qualified to FNCS finals at the start of this year, still got like 1K. But outside of events, I don't stream as much anymore because I mean, you can't do wages anyways on Twitch now as well. They're starting to ban it, you know? You've seen the recent within like the last 2 days, if that counts as gambling, which I'm pretty sure it does. But then as far as YouTube content goes, I make them to entertain and to grow my brand, but also for myself because I like to look back at my videos sometimes. It's just not just now, but in the future, like when I've quit the game, gotten a job or whatever, I think it'll be good to look back at like whatever.
That's a cool way to look at it. Not sure I've heard anyone say that. And it's essentially a catalog of your life and some of
Yeah,
the
I've got a
successes you've
lot of
had.
videos. I've got a lot of videos all the way dating back to like probably me being a squeaker on Black Ops 3 in like 2015, probably. Yeah.
Oh man, that's cool. Cool to hear. Do you? What else do you like to do outside of gaming? I know you said you're in school. You have any hobbies or things you enjoy?
Yeah, I go to college 3 days a week, but in my spare time, sometimes I play football. That's the main thing, just football and Fortnite, to be honest. And then I go to school, and then yeah, that's it, to be honest. There's not
Who's your
much more.
team?
What team I play it, and this a lot of people would not agree with what I say or aren't like me in this sense, but I play it. I don't really support any teams. I'll watch the like in England we have the obviously we have the Premier League, and then we have on Sky News they upload on YouTube the highlights of each game. So they summarize the whole 90 minutes into like 5 minutes. So I'll just watch the highlights
Okay.
instead. A lot more less time consuming. If I was sitting there just watching all 90-minute games straight, then I think I'd not have enough time to focus on what I actually need to do, like maybe schoolwork or scrims or playing football myself, stuff like that.
Gotcha. Makes sense. In the EU, in the UK, I should say, is college the same as it is in the
No,
US?
no, you guys call. Do you know what university is or what?
Yeah. So it's college then university, right? For you.
For you guys call college what we call university, as far as I'm aware. How old are you supposed to be at what you call college?
So college is after high school. So you at 18 you'll finish like school
No,
and then you go
you're at
pick a degree.
college in England. You're at college from 16. I joined, and I'm going to be leaving when I'm 18, and then it's
Okay.
university. So your
Gotcha.
college is our university, basically. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. Do you know what you want to do? Is it gaming? Is that gonna be
And
what you try and do
after
with your
this
life?
year, this is my second year of college. So after this year, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Obviously, this is like my dream job. So if I can manage to take this to the next level, then I would definitely pursue it. But if it's not looking realistic, then we'll see what we'll see where stuff takes me. I have no idea what I'm going to do next. But yeah, don't need to think about it right now. I think I've got a little bit of time. So
Yeah, you're too young anyway to figure it out. I
yeah,
changed my career and did this when I was like 23 years old. So I went to college, didn't use that degree. Well, university, I should say,
yeah.
didn't use that degree. Went, got a job for 5 years, and now I'm playing video games. So it's an interesting path.
Mm,
And by no means do you have to have it figured out by the time you're any age. So now that's really all I got for you, man. I appreciate you joining, and I got a couple of questions to close out for you. First
yeah.
of all, what is your favorite Fortnite skin?
What is my favorite Fortnite skin? My main skin, even though I haven't been using it as often recently, but Recon Specialist. It's the simple skin. Do you know it?
Okay. Um, I'm
It's
sure.
the one Mota and Lecce main as well.
Is that like the? Oh yeah.
Grey
I know what
beanie.
you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
All right. And then where does the name Vortexia come from?
So I had a lot of names throughout the years, starting off from like XX Hype as Aguero. Aguero is a football player. And then it went to Gun Gamer, and then from when I was young, and then I changed it to I was playing Minecraft with my friend on PC when I was younger, and I was like, bro, I need a new name. Can we brainstorm some ideas for me? And we were playing as we were doing that. We weren't just sitting down doing that. We were playing, and I was jumping through something called the Vortex jump on some server. So I jumped through it, and I saw the sign saying Vortex jump. I was like, oh, that's cool name, Vortex. And then I stuck with that for a bit, and then I soon realized that if you typed in Vortex on YouTube, I was nowhere near big enough to be the first search, because
Yeah.
obviously all of these space things and that. So then um, I got my custom URL for YouTube. Once you get 100 subscribers, like youtube.com/, and then that's your URL. So I made that Vortexia, and I was like, I'm not first search anyways. Let's just stick to that name, Vortexia. So yeah,
Okay. Nice. I like that. So solid name. There's a lot of there's like Vortexer or Vortex RR
there's
and
four of us. Four
oh
of
my
us. Yeah, there's
goodness.
Vortexia is me, and then there's the OC guy, Vortex M, and there's two more Vortexes in E. There's the actual is Vortex, and then there's Vortexes. They're both going invitational. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And lastly, where can people find you? What are you gonna be up to? Give yourself a shout.
Every single one of my socials is just Vortexia with two A's, Vortexiaa. Apart from YouTube, it's just with one A.
All right, cool. Hey, make sure to go check him out. Puts out some tournament highlights. We'll occasionally throw the stream on, and you can find him playing some video games, trying to dominate those PlayStation Cups, or hopefully some more cups in the future. So thank you very much for joining me, man. Great conversation. I appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And if any of you guys at home have any complaints or you want to tell me we did awesome, you have questions, you would like to be a guest, go ahead, shoot me a DM on Twitter. It's somebody's gun, or you can comment down below. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you next time. Peace.